My wife won't stop texting me from our bedroom. I buried her 3 days ago. It started with a text at 3:14 a.m. Wife, can you bring me some water? I sat bolt upright. I live alone now. My wife, Anya, passed away 3 days ago in a freak accident. She slipped in the bathroom, cracked her skull on the edge of the tub. I found her in a pool of blood. The doctors said she died instantly. We buried her the next day in the cemetery 5 miles outside of town. I remember every detail. The damp soil, the priest's voice shaking during the final prayers, my knees barely holding me up as the casket lowered into the ground. But now, this text, I stared at the screen, heart pounding. Maybe someone had her phone? Maybe it was a cruel prank? I opened the bedroom door. Empty. Of course it was. Still, I couldn't sleep. I paced around the living room thinking of explanations. Her phone had been placed in the casket with her. Her parents insisted it was her favorite thing, and she'd never liked being offline. The signal had long since died. At 3:21 a.m., another message. Wifer, are you coming? I'm so thirsty. I called the number, straight to voicemail. No service. I turned off my phone and left it face down on the kitchen table. Then I grabbed a blanket and slept on the couch, lights on. In the morning, I checked the phone. Nothing. No messages, no call log, no proof. I figured I'd dreamt it. Grief does strange things. Your mind tries to claw its way back to anything familiar. Maybe I was losing it. That evening, I tried distracting myself. Watched a sitcom, drank 2 beers, tried not to think about how quiet the house was. At 2:47 a.m., my phone buzzed. Wifer, it's so dark in here. This time my blood ran cold. It wasn't just the words, it was the background of the message. iMessage shows a contact photo. Hers was there. She was smiling in it. But now, it was different. Her smile was wider, too wide. Her head slightly tilted, her eyes staring directly into the lens. I swear she wasn't looking into the camera before. I opened my photo gallery, found the original picture. Her smile was normal, warm, loving. The image in the message had changed. At exactly 3 a.m., another text. Wifer, I heard you moving around. Why didn't you come see me? I ran. I didn't know where I was going, just away from the house. I drove to my friend Ronak's place and banged on his door like a madman. He let me in, confused and half asleep. I told him everything. He said I was sleep-deprived, grieving, maybe having a breakdown. He offered his couch. I stayed the night. My phone didn't buzz again. But when I woke up and checked my gallery, the photo had changed. Not just her face. The background was my bedroom, dark but recognizable, and something pale was visible behind her, barely visible, but it looked like a hand on her shoulder. Ronak offered to go back to my house with me. I agreed. We walked through every room, checked every lock, even the attic. Nothing. But in the bedroom, her side of the bed had an indent, like someone had been lying there recently. That night, I tried something. I drove to the cemetery and I put her phone in the casket, but I never turned it off. I remembered the brand. I remembered the lock screen, a wallpaper of us at the beach, her in that green dress she loved. I logged into the carrier website. No activity. No pings. No signal, but the messages kept coming. It's so cold underground. I don't like the bugs. Why won't you answer me? I stopped responding. I stopped sleeping. I took sleeping pills, drank until I blacked out, even turned off my phone completely. Then, I got a text from an unknown number. No name, no contact photo. Just a message. You can't ignore me forever, Dhruv. Only Anya called me that. Everyone else says D, even my parents. I threw the phone away. 2 nights later, the door to the bedroom slammed shut by itself from the inside. I haven't opened it. I sleep in the living room now, if I sleep at all. Sometimes I hear her calling. Sometimes she's crying. Sometimes she just says my name over and over, a hoarse whisper that crawls up through the floorboards. Last night, I woke up to find the bedroom door wide open. My wife was standing there, and she was holding her phone.
My boyfriend's foot fetish has gotten out of hand. When Robbie told me that he was into feet, I tried to be understanding. Believe me, I did. But I won't lie. I always found his attraction to them a bit strange. Robbie was never an overly sexual man. It wasn't until 3 months into our relationship that it even came up. I don't think he ever intended to tell me, not with words at least. I only found out because of what he did in my sleep one night. My eyes shot open, hazy vision dissipating as the darkness of my room gradually grew clearer. In my tired state, my first thought was to roll over and go back to sleep, until the covers jostled near the foot of the bed. My heart jackhammered in my chest as I turned to Robbie's pillow, expecting to find him sound asleep. But that's not what I saw. Robbie's side of the bed was empty. I shot up, my eyes wide as dinner plates. Right as I did, I felt it, a hand caressing my left foot. "Robbie, what are you doing to my feet?" My fear had melted away, and by that point I was more perplexed than anything. The sheets writhed, and I heard panicked rustling as Robbie struggled to fight his way from beneath the covers. I was asleep?" he offered, his head poking meekly from under the blankets. I crossed my arms despite the smile tugging at the corner of my lips. "Nice try, mister. You've got some explaining to do." And that's how I found out that my boyfriend is into feet. I'd be lying if I said that I didn't think Robbie's revelation was a little bit odd. Yes, I told him that I didn't, but I was just trying to be a supportive girlfriend. Even so, I determined that it wasn't a deal breaker. Robbie liked feet, so what? That just meant free foot massages, right? Wrong. Everything was fine until 3 nights later. Work had taken its toll on me, and unlike most people my age, instead of hitting the bars, I went to bed early. Robbie didn't join me right away. He'd opted to stay up a bit later watching Transformers. As I drifted off to sleep, I thought everything was fine. Little did I know, that night would mark the beginning of a much bigger issue. For the second time that week, I awoke suddenly from a deep slumber, but unlike the previous night, I could instantly tell that something was wrong. A searing pain jolted through my toes, shooting up my leg. It felt as if someone had jammed my big toe into a hydraulic press. "Ow! What the hell?" I shouted, reflexively kicking out. I heard a muffled groan from beneath the blankets. Robbie. This time, I wasn't feeling as forgiving about being woken up by my boyfriend playing footsie in the middle of the night. "Robbie!" I growled, turning on the lamp. "Yes!" he squeaked, emerging from beneath the covers. He stared at me like a wounded puppy.
"What has gotten into you? I thought we agreed that you wouldn't wake me up like this anymore." He couldn't bring himself to look me in the eye.
"I'm sorry. I just had an itch that I couldn't ignore. It won't happen again."
"Whatever. We are going to have a serious talk about this in the morning."
He didn't even say anything. He just slunk back to his place beside me, more dejected than I'd ever seen him. Robbie and I did have that talk the following morning, and he admitted to being in the wrong. He repeatedly assured me that it was a one-time thing, and that going forward he'd ask for permission every single time. That helped to put my mind at ease, but even so, my gut told me that something was off. Like Robbie was hiding a dirty secret that he didn't want me to know about. The next night we were together, we stayed at his house. When he went to take a shower, I decided to snoop. I didn't know what Robbie was keeping from me, but I was curious to see what I could find. Yeah, I know. I shouldn't have done that. I'm fully aware that it was an invasion of his privacy, but what I discovered has made all of it feel justified. When rummaging through Robbie's bedside drawer, I found what appeared to be a journal. Bingo. That was exactly the kind of thing I needed. I wasn't expecting much, but when I flipped it open and read the title of the first page, my blood turned to ice. Skinning Skylar? Experiment log? Surely that didn't mean what I thought it did. It couldn't, right? I continued to read. I had to know. 5/4/25. I applied only a dollop of the numbing agent tonight. No luck. She caught me in the act. I'll try again tomorrow if I can. 5/6/25. The lick test succeeded. She didn't notice. Next time, I'm going to give her a bite. 5/7/25. I bit down hard on her foot 4 times tonight. She woke up, but she only felt it in her toes. I think, based on her reaction. I can't be sure though. Note: apply more numbing serum next time. I had to pause what I was reading. I nearly vomited all over Robbie's bed. Whatever sick experiment he was running, I wanted no part of it. Though I really didn't want to, I forced myself to continue, solely to find out how much danger I was in. What I read next will haunt me for the rest of my life. 5/10/25. Tonight is the night. I'm going to try cutting her foot open with a scalpel. I think I have a good idea of how much of the numbing agent to use now. I'm going to inject her with the heavy stuff too, for good measure. If everything goes smoothly, I'll be one of the first men to skin a human alive in modern times. I don't anticipate that she'll live for more than 3 hours afterward.
Skylar, why do you have that?
Robbie's face was white as a ghost. He stood in the doorway, hair still wet. The water dripping onto the tile served as the only sound in the silence that ensued. What is this? Robbie stomped over to me, panic scrawled across his features. It's mine, that's what it is, he snapped, snatching the journal from my hands. How much did you read? I didn't answer. My brain had already resorted to fight or flight mode. I scooped up my phone from the bed and leapt off the other side, darting toward the bathroom. Robbie was standing between me and the exit, leaving that as my only option. He tried to catch my arm as I passed, but he was too slow. I locked the door behind me, and I instantly heard him pounding on the other side, begging for me to let him explain. I didn't listen. I immediately called the cops. The entire time, Robbie pleaded with me to come out. He swore up and down that the notebook was just a sick fantasy, that he'd never act on his impulses. His words meant nothing to me. I'd seen enough. The police couldn't do anything, go figure. Robbie would have needed to hurt me for them to take action, and the chances of getting him thrown in the slammer for biting my foot a few nights prior were practically zero. So I did the only thing I could do. I left him, blocked his number, and tried to move on with my life the best I could. It wasn't easy, but after a month, I was starting to heal. Until I found the letter on my kitchen counter. I was petrified when I saw it lying there. No one else had access to my house. I had the only spare key and I lived alone. With trembling hands, I picked up the note, fear raking at my insides. What was written on that scrap of paper has me terrified for my life. Dearest Skylar, I've decided that I need a bit more practice in order to conduct my experiments on a live subject. Your lifeless corpse should do just fine. I'll see you soon.